People look at Leo and see exactly what they expect to see. A Persian, expensive, beautiful in that untouchable way that makes you think he was bred to ignore everyone in the room. They see the golden fur, the blue eyes, the regal way he moves through the house like he owns it, and they assume they know everything. He's cold, he's aloof, he's the kind of cat who'd rather die than acknowledge you. That's what everyone says. That's what they see. But nobody sees what happens when the clock strikes 2 a.m. Nobody knows about the routine, the one that changes everything, the one that would make you question every assumption you ever had about a cat like Leo. Sarah brought him home 5 years ago from a breeder who assured her he was the finest example of his bloodline. Impeccable pedigree, champion bloodlines, the kind of cat people put on Instagram. Leo settled into their house like he'd been waiting for exactly this kind of palace his entire life. He chose the softest chair, he decided which windows were acceptable for sunlight, he made it abundantly clear that he tolerated the family's existence, nothing more. Sarah's husband Tom laughed about it constantly. He acts like we owe him rent, he'd say. Her daughter Emma, just 3 at the time, would follow Leo around the house, desperately trying to pet him, and he'd simply move. Always moving away, never mean, never aggressive, just unavailable, like she didn't exist in his field of vision. For 3 years, Leo maintained this perfect distance with the precision of a master. He ate from a ceramic bowl, not stainless steel, which Sarah made sure of every single meal. He slept in sunbeams on furniture that was probably more comfortable than anyone else's bed in the house. He'd reject the softer cat bed she bought him and choose instead the vintage chair by the window. He was, by every outward measure, living the life he'd been promised, the life he'd apparently chosen long before any of them knew him. He was a Persian aristocrat in a suburban home, and he never let anyone forget it. Then one night, something shifted. Sarah was in the kitchen around 1:45 a.m., handling insomnia the way she had for weeks, a new mother's worry that wouldn't switch off. She was standing at the sink with a cup of tea going cold in her hands when she heard it. Soft at first, barely there. The sound of Leo padding down the hallway. Nothing unusual about that, except it was the wrong direction. He never went toward Emma's room at this hour. He never went there at all, really, unless forced. She heard him stop. She heard nothing for a long moment. Then, impossibly, she heard the softest meow, the tiniest sound, almost a question. Sarah followed him, heart beating a little faster than it should have been. Her mind was spinning with questions. Why now? Why Emma? Why would a cat who'd ignored the child for 3 years suddenly care? What she found made her freeze completely. Leo was standing outside Emma's bedroom door, looking directly at her. Then he turned and walked inside. Sarah watched from the hallway as Leo jumped onto the crib with perfect grace and positioned himself along the inner railing, his body creating a barrier between Emma and the fall. He was perfectly still. His eyes, those blue eyes that seemed to have so much disdain for human life, were fixed on Emma's sleeping face. He didn't blink, he didn't move, he just watched. Sarah watched for an hour that night. She couldn't explain why. She just knew something important was happening, something that couldn't be explained by simple coincidence or random behavior. The next night, she couldn't sleep, waiting for 2 a.m. to arrive. When it did, Leo made his journey again. Same time, same movements, same absolute dedication to that crib. The next night, she set up her phone to record. If you haven't subscribed yet, this might be a good moment. Honestly, this story needs to be seen, and the algorithm doesn't care about my feelings, but it does care about subscriptions. Hit that button right now if you think this is going somewhere worth following. The footage was stunning, absolutely mesmerizing.
At 2:03 a.m. exactly, Leo left his sleeping position on the master bedroom bed and walked silently to Emma's room. He was always so graceful moving through the darkness, like a shadow with purpose. He hopped onto the crib without making a single sound, not a creak, not a rustle. He positioned himself in the same exact spot, along the inner railing, guard post, watchtower. His massive form created a wall between the baby and anything else in the world. His eyes never left her face, not once, For 37 minutes straight, that Persian cat, who everyone said was incapable of love, sat guard over a little girl. And his expression wasn't cold, it was focused, it was protective. It was, in every possible way, a father watching over his child during the most vulnerable hours of the night. What struck Sarah most was his consistency. Night after night, the footage showed the exact same ritual, same time, same position, same unwavering vigilance. This wasn't random, this was devotion written in pure action. Sarah showed Tom the footage. She didn't need to explain anything. His hand went to his mouth. "He's keeping her safe," Tom whispered, his voice breaking slightly. She nodded, unable to speak. All this time, all these years, he wasn't ignoring us. He was waiting. He was waiting for her to arrive, and then Tom couldn't finish the sentence. The vet had no real explanation, though she tried. The behaviorist said it was unusual, but not unheard of. Some cats, she said, are simply born with that instinct, that protective gene. They just don't show it until they need to. But even she seemed amazed by the consistency, by the deliberation in Leo's movements. But Leo didn't just guard her at night. Sarah began noticing the patterns. He'd position himself near her during the day when she was learning to crawl, creating a barrier between her and the hard furniture. He'd sit outside the bathroom door when she was in there. He'd sleep as close to her as he could without actually crushing her. A 5-year-old Persian cat that the whole family had labeled as cold and distant was in reality the most devoted guardian they could have asked for. Emma grew older. At 7, she started to understand. She'd wake up sometimes at 2 in the morning and Leah would already be there, watching. She once asked her mother, "Why does Leo sleep in my room every night?" Sarah didn't know how to explain that sometimes the things that matter most don't announce themselves, that love isn't always warm and verbal. Sometimes love is a golden cat with blue eyes, sitting silently in the darkness, making sure nothing bad ever happens to the person he chose to protect the day she was born. The family stopped seeing Leo as a snob. They stopped seeing him as untouchable. They saw instead what he'd always been showing them, if only they'd been paying attention. That you can't judge what a creature is capable of by the way they carry themselves, that distance isn't coldness, that a cat who won't come when you call might be too busy guarding your children in the dark. If you have a cat, pay attention to the habits that seem strange, the routines nobody talks about, the ways they position themselves near the people they love. Sometimes the most beautiful acts of devotion are the ones that happen when nobody's watching. They're the quiet declarations of loyalty, the silent vows that mean everything. Leo stopped being the cold, aloof Persian the moment Emma was born. He chose his role, and he's kept that promise night after night for 7 years. That's not an accident. That's not indifference. That's a life dedicated to protecting someone you love more than yourself. Does your cat have a midnight routine? Have you ever really paid attention to what they do when they think the world is asleep? Tell me in the comments.